Hey everyone, I'm Alex, and welcome to this Marvel Snap Beginner's Guide, where I'm going to be talking about the best cards in Marvel Snap for new players and beginners. In this guide, I'll take you through everything you need to know about these cards, and I'm going to highlight several of them that are definite deck building cards that you want to utilize in the earlier stages of your Marvel Snap career. These are cards in Pool 1 and 2 respectively that you'll get within the first couple hundred collection level that help you to really accelerate your progression through the game and rank up like I know you want to. So let's get started. The first thing you need to know is that first of all, there's tons of cards, but some of them really stand out as being truly remarkable. And the first one we're going to highlight today is Korg. Korg is a card that on first look, if you're kind of inexperienced, you might think, Alex, on reveal, shuffle a rock into the opponent's deck. That's not that good. How good can throwing a rock into my opponent's deck be? Well, we'll put it this way, it's absolutely insane on turn 1. The reason for this is because the decks are very, very small. They're 12 card decks, right? And you only have 6 turns, which means you only don't draw a couple of your cards, really. And so by diluting your deck with a rock, or the opponent's deck with a rock, sorry, is actually incredibly impactful, because that rock on turn 5, when they pull it instead of their combo card, is going to be like devastating for them. That useless draw can be the difference between winning a game and losing a game. The difference between them getting the card they need to win and them retreating because they just pulled a rock from your turn 1 Korg, a 1 cost 2 power card. This is a ridiculous card and one of the best early tempo cards in the game. Do not sleep on Korg. Another card that, especially for relatively new players, is absolutely fantastic is your boy Nightcrawler. Now, the reason for this is because Nightcrawler's ability to move cannot be understated. First of all, he has great synergy with the next card we're going to talk about, which, I'm not going to reveal quite yet. But basically what Nightcrawler allows you to do is get into some of the harder to reach locations where you can't play cards. He also allows you to move if you make a mistake. Like, let's say there's a location that's not revealed and you play him in there and it's negative zone and he's -3, right? He gets a -3, so he's a -1 card. Great. Right? What you gonna do? You can move him out. Let's say you play him accidentally into bar with no name, which is a location where whoever has the least amount of power wins. You move him out, right? So he's very, very good at allowing you to kind of make some mistakes and, not get devastatingly destroyed by them, especially as a new player. So Nightcrawler's versatility is one of his biggest strengths, but also his versatility with this next card, which I truly believe to be one of the absolute best in the game, and that is Angela. Angela is truly remarkable. When you play a card in the location she's in, she gets 2 additional power. This is important because if you play her first on turn 2 and then you play into her, you ultimately ramp her up to an absolutely huge card, which is great for a 2 cost. Moreover, I mentioned it Nightcrawler before. The nice thing about Nightcrawler, if you think about it, each location can have a maximum of 4 cards. If you play Angela, that means you can only have 3 additional cards in that location to give her the additional buff for a total of power 7. However, if you play Nightcrawler into Angela's location, you can then move Nightcrawler and then play an additional card. So she'll get the proc from Nightcrawler and then get another proc for free because you've moved Nightcrawler out to give additional space. That's why Nightcrawler works really well with Angela, and Angela is one of the best cards in Marvel Snap currently. And then the next card we got to talk about is similar to Angela, has this capability of solo ramping in the game, and once I find him, you're gonna see him, and it's your boy Bishop. Now, Bishop is an absolutely incredible card who's capable of pushing a given lane or location all by himself. He is remarkable. Now, the disadvantage to Bishop, similar to Angela, which I didn't actually quite mention, is that he feels useless if you draw him on turn 5, even turn 4. With Angela, you want to play her on turn 2. Okay, but the nice thing about Angela, if you play her a little later and you fill that location, it still works out okay. But Bishop, especially with the way most decks are constructed, if you play him on 5, what are you playing on 6? 1 card maybe, unless you have a Sarah deck, which allows you to play many cards at once, but you don't have Sarah because you're a new player and you don't have that card in Pool 3, right? So Bishop becomes a really poor draw later in the game, but if you tempo him out at turn 3, he is ridiculous. Absolutely insane. He could easily be a 310 in some given situations, especially when you're playing the popular Zoo decks, which are common at the relatively new player brackets. Bishop, absolutely unreal, and he actually remains viable even in pool 3 as you get more complex cards. An absolutely fantastic card. And then talking about more complex cards, as you progress your collection level, you'll start to hit cards and people that have cards that you don't have, and they start to pull combos on you. Well, that's where your boy Cosmo comes in, the best boy in the universe. Give him a pet often, because Cosmo is going to win you games. An important thing to understand about Cosmo is that he has an ongoing ability that prevents on-reveal abilities from happening at the entire location, both on your side and on the opponent's side. This is important because if you put him on your side, yes, it does prevent them from using on-reveal abilities. It also prevents you from using on-reveal abilities. So as a new player, you might often put Cosmo down and throw an on-reveal on there and be like, huh, what happened? Nothing happened. Oh, I'm a noob, right? I've done it, everyone's done it, and it's okay, right? You got to learn how to play around Cosmo, right? But anyways, he's a remarkable card, and a very important thing to understand about Cosmo as well is the turn initiative. So basically, it's very important you understand that so the player names have a glowing border around them. The glowing border indicates whose cards activate first, okay? It's important with Cosmo because if you have initiative, it allows you to play Cosmo first, reveal Cosmo, and then their cards reveal after. The order is important because if they have on-reveal cards that reveal first, then Cosmo's effect does not actually do anything because their on-reveal effects happen first. But if you have initiative and your Cosmo drops first, their cards that go on top don't actually activate their on-reveal. So that little highlighted border is so important. Knowing who has initiative, which is basically whoever's winning the game at that current time, is extremely important, especially when playing with Cosmo. The next card we have to talk about, and it's actually a bit of a combo here, and it's Devil, Dinosaur, and Moon Girl. Devil Dinosaur is an ongoing ability that allows you to have +2 power for each additional card in your hand. He could very easily be a 4-cost 10, very easily, and as a relatively low collection score player and someone who's a beginner and new to the game, Devil Dinosaur is going to be a card that you can actually rely on to give you a lot of value, but he really shines with the combination of Moon Girl. Moon Girl will duplicate your hand, which is great because it actually buffs up Devil Dinosaur quite a bit. In fact, you can actually play Moon Girl on turns 5 or 6. You can play her on tempo 4 and play Devil Dinosaur later as well. If you do it that way, you can have 2 Devil Dinosaurs to play on 5 and 6 if that's really what you want to do. Otherwise, you can have the Devil Dinosaur sitting there and then the opponent's like, huh, I think I win. You drop Moon Girl and the Devil Dinosaurs ramp up, right? Because you're duplicating your hand. And it's worth noting that it duplicates left to right based on what cards you have, right? So Moon Girl is actually really valuable, both of which are early collection level cards, and they're great because when you combo them together, you're able to make a ton of progress by really ramping up fast and destroying enemies. The next card we need to talk about here is your boy Iron Man. Okay, listen, he's a starter card. I know you have him, and I know you've played with him, but the key thing you need to understand about Iron Man is that not only is he a good play on turn 5, he can be a good play on turn 6. He can be a total difference maker because whenever you play on turn 6, let's say you have to own a location, he basically doubles the strength of that, right? So he has remarkable capabilities for really ramping a location out of reach of the opponent that you can really only fix with another Iron Man, right? So he is susceptible to something like an Enchantress, which we'll talk about in our next video when we talk about the best tech cards in Marvel Snap. But regardless, Iron Man is an absolutely excellent card, and he is a staple for many beginners decks, so do not hesitate to actually utilize him. A lot of the new players, they take him out because they're like, he's a 5-cost 0, is he really even that good? Yeah, he's actually that good. He can be truly remarkable, especially when cards are like Angela and Bishop, who are already going to be huge, and then you literally just you double their value in the lane with someone like an Iron Man. So he's a truly remarkable card. The last card, which we're going to talk about in Pool 1 specifically, is America Chavez. America Chavez is absolutely remarkable. This card is literally one of the best cards in the game. If I were to do a tier list, I would probably start by throwing this right at the top. The reason for this is because yes, having a consistent 6-drop is always beneficial. On turn 6, you have a 9-drop. You're always going to have that 9-drop unless Yondu knocks it out or something crazy happens, it gets discarded. But anyways, the important thing that a lot of people fail to see is it's the not before part. It actually thins your deck by 1 card, which makes it so that whenever you're deck building, you're more likely to pull the cards you need on curve for turns 1 through 5, because you've thinned your deck by 1 card by ensuring that you only ever draw this card on 6, right? So it has a lot of value for curving out tempo-wise. That's why this card low-key is one of the best in the game, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Now we're going to talk about Pool 2 now. Now there's a couple Pool 2 cards that I think that are worth noting here. Now the Pool 1 cards are actually amongst the best. There's a couple Pool 2 ones we're talking about. And the first one we want to talk about here is Sunspot. Sunspot is one of those sneaky cards where, especially if you're a relatively new player, Sunspot can find ways to win games that people don't expect. You play Sunspot and then, you know, first of all, he allows you to kind of like tempo nicely. So if your curve's kind of messed up, you didn't draw cards the way you wanted to, and you didn't have a play on turn 2, he just takes that energy and does something with it, which is valuable, right? He also allows you to do very interesting kind of combinations with Infinite, for instance, who, I mean, as an individual card is okay, but with Sunspot becomes amazing because you can skip your turn 5 and play Infinite on turn 6, and Sunspot gets that +5 energy. So Sunspot is a Pool 2 card that gets a lot of play at all points in the meta. Do not sleep on Sunspot, because often you'll play him and opponents will forget about him, and you can actually just win a location just by not playing a card and letting Sunspot ramp up. So really interesting card. The other card I want to talk about is Iceman. Iceman, I think, is on par with Korg, and I kind of debate with myself which one's truly better, Korg or Iceman, giving them the rock or giving them a +1 cost in their hand, and I kind of lean towards Korg, honestly, but Iceman is still top shelf. Basically, what you do is you add 1 additional cost to one of the cards in their hand. That can disrupt their tempo and their flow of their game. If you hit a key combo card, then suddenly the combo doesn't work properly because now it costs that 1 extra energy. So Iceman can be very disruptive if you hit the right cards. Obviously, you don't know what they hit until they try and play it, but Iceman is a truly good 1 cost card that can have a big impact on your game. And finally, I want to talk about, you know, one of my favorite cards in the game currently. And I mean, it's so good because when you reveal this card, like your whole deck just increases in tempo, right? A 2/2 is not the best, right? She was actually previously a 2/1, a little weaker, and actually recently got buffed. But if you reveal this card on turn 2, your whole deck just becomes more valuable, including your Chavez, which becomes a 6-drop 10 power, right? So the value you get from this card, especially if you're playing zoo style decks, is immense. Anything that benefits from the zoo, right? Like the Sinisters and stuff like that, really benefit from this card. And don't sleep on it, honestly, because it can be a fantastic card. The only disadvantage is it feels terrible if you pull it late, because if you pull it on like turn 5, then you're like, well, I've already played everything and I'm getting Chavez next. Like, I don't care to give her the +1 unless you really want to, but it's probably a bad play on 5. So getting her on tempo is kind of really important. And with that being said, I really think you should watch this next video that I've got here, because in this next video, we're going to be talking about the best tech cards in Marvel Snap for beginners. Cards that you can use to disrupt the enemy and win your games. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.